Okay, yearbookers, now we're going to talk about text. But quickly before we do that, I hope some of you at least caught my faux pas that I did in the other tutorial. I did not immediately save my template as the page that I would be working on. So I'm going to start a new document, or no, actually I'm going to open the templates folder, and I'm going to click on the page spread. I'm going to open it. I'm going to immediately save it. File, save as. And this is the drop-down box. I'm going to go back to 2017. I'm going to go to the pages. I'm going to go to the tutorial, and I'm going to save this as text tutorial. Okay, so you want to make sure that you do that. And you'll also see that I have all these pages, right? And if I start designing this right now, I'm going to be hitting 8, 9, pages 8, 9, and that's not what I want to do, remember? So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to, I think I can actually, well, I don't think I can. I'm going to select the pages and get rid of them. So let me do that really quickly. And we're just going to hit delete. And there we go. So now we have one page and the spread. All right. Now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to paste the images box that we had before. You'll notice that there is a layers window here. It works similarly to Photoshop and layers, and you can lock these by clicking the box next to the eyeball. And when you do that, that means that nothing will be affected. So if you lock it, you're not going to be able to do anything to that. And that's going to come in handy, especially when you're dealing with a lot of layers, that you can lock them so that you're not bothering the content, if particularly, for example, if you have a picture in the background, or let's say a color, just like we're going to do right now. So I'm going to click on the magnifying tool. I want to be able to see the entire spread. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put a background here like I did before, and I'm going to give myself a new layer, and I'm going to call it background. I usually use BG for that. And I'm just going to go ahead, use my rectangle tool like I did before, make the box, change the color up here. Let me sort of have that periwinkle blue color. Now, this is covering the layer 1 that has all the pictures in it. So one of the things I can do here is I can actually just pull this layer down and put it behind the layer with the pictures in it, just like you do in Photoshop. So there's a lot of similarities because these are all Adobe products. So I'm going to actually separate these now. So I'm going to select, whoops, now see here, right here is a great example. I wanted to click on the picture, but instead I clicked on the background. So this is an example where we probably want to lock the background, and then we're going to unlock layer 1 because layer 1 has the pictures on it. So I'm going to select these, and if you saw that, you probably noticed that I held the shift key down, that I selected the picture and not the frame. So I held the shift key down, and now I'm just going to use my arrow keys, and I'm going to pull this up, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to select these bottom pieces and also pull these down because I'm going to want to put text underneath them. So let's just assume that all these frames are filled. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the text tool. So I'm going to click type, and just like in any of the other Adobe programs, this type tool is going to give you a box. And in here, you will type your text. Now, I'm going to pull this text box maybe just a little bit smaller, but I'm going to double click in here and I'm going to put my text. So let's call this, I'm not sure which Cooper Rider this is, but let's just call him John. And, oops, John Cooper Rider. Whoops, I spelled it wrong. And Fred Fashion. I don't know. All right, so here's our text box. Now, I can affect the text just like I can in any of the other programs, but notice that it does not give you a text layer like in Photoshop, so just be aware of that. Up here, I can do all the regular things. I can pick colors. This is times. Maybe we'll just use Arial for the moment. I might just want to use regular. And then I want to do regular, and maybe I want to do 11 point, so it's a little bit smaller. And then we can kind of click away from that. Once you have the text box up like that, you can also use the arrow keys to kind of situate it where you might want that the names to go. Once you have this and you have it set up in one of the text boxes that you want, and you know you want to duplicate this, all you have to do is do Command C and then File, Paste in Place, or Edit, Paste in Place, and then hold the Shift key down, slide it over to the next one, and then do the same thing, Edit, Paste in Place, and slide that over into the next one. And these guides will pop up and sort of guide you. Whoops, I think I didn't copy it. So I have to, oh, you know what? It was over on the other side. So, all right. And so what you'll see is that InDesign will help you align things very easily, much like other programs that you've probably used. So I can go on like this. I can also, just like in any of the Adobe programs, I can change the color of this. Up here, you'll notice that this gives you a few more options than what you would normally get in Photoshop. Here is a fill option, and here is a stroke option. Now, for something this small, it's really not going to be that necessary to worry about the stroke option. The stroke is just going to put a line around each individual letter, and for something this small, we don't necessarily want that. So, but I do want to change this to white. So let's see what we can do. I think in this case, I might just click here, and I might just pick white and hit enter, and there it is. So I'm going to do that to all of them. Now I can also go to my color tool here, or I can also go to color, and I can pull up my swatches, and right here I've got a white already, so I can use that and it will just automatically do it. I can also double click into this and also get the I-beam so that I can make my changes, and I can just click here and then I get. So that's how you can add type, particularly underneath photos. This becomes really important when it comes to ID photos, and when we're doing those, you're going to want to zoom in to these areas and make sure that things are spelled correctly. I'm pretty sure that I did not spell Cooper Rider right, so, but I'm not sure. So if I want to zoom away really quickly, I'm going to go to View, and I'm just going to say Entire Pasteboard, and then I can see everything. But let's say I want to do something a little more fancy. So I'm going to pull that text box again, and I don't know, maybe I'll do something like, dude, where's my car? Okay. Now, this far back, we're not going to be able to see the text, so we're going to zoom in just a little bit. I'm going to click the click the magnifying tool and zoom in, and then I'm going to highlight the text. So maybe I want to make this a lot bigger. So let's see what it looks like at 36 points, 48 point. Now when you see this little arrow or little plus sign here in any of the type text boxes, that means that there's type that is not showing. So you can click on that, you can select the type tool, and you can open that up, and you can see that the red X goes away, and so now I'm seeing everything in the text box. So that's just a little warning to look out for, just in case you might be missing some text. Now I'm going to double click into that window, and I think I'm actually going to make this a lot bigger. Now let's say I wanted this to be 100 point. I can just go, instead of using this drop down, which only goes up to 72, I can also just type in a number. So maybe I'll do 100 and hit enter. Now I know that there's a lot missing here, right? So I can move this text box around. I can also highlight this. I can center it using all the basic tools that you normally would use when you're working with text, and most of you have already done. So now I want to look for fonts. So let's see. I want something kind of funky, like sort of scripty. That's a little too scripty. That's athletic. I'm not sure about that one. Let's see. Now we have a lot of different fonts, and as you guys know, if there's a font that you are really dying to have, we can use that. You can also go to the websites where we went earlier to try and find different kinds of fonts. I don't really want to use this one either. Isn't that terrible? This is where all the indecision of design comes in. All right, I'm just going to pick something. Let's just pick this. Okay. So now I may also want to change this too. I may want to change the color. So I've got some colors in here. These were some of the colors that we selected when we did our color swatch assignment. You guys may remember that these were colors that we felt looked like islandy or kind of Martha's Vineyard. So I'm going to use maybe this light one. And all right, so here's Dude, Where's My Car? Now, this is straight up and down, but I can also curve this by mousing over the text box, and the cursor turns into this sort of double arrow when I do that, and that allows me to move the text box around so that I can rotate the text. So here, you know, you could put something across all these pictures, and you could do some fun stuff with the type. Another thing you can do with type, and I'm going to pull another text box, is we could say something like Buddy's page. And let's use some, we're going to make that also, I don't know, let's do 120 type. This font is really too formal for a Buddy's page. So we're going to open that up, and we're going to find something a little bit more appropriate. How about this one? It looks like you're in elementary school, so we don't want to use that one. Maybe this one doesn't have a bold on it, so let's keep going here. And that's very cursive-y, so I don't think that's going to work well for the Buddy page. Maybe this one. And let's do solid. Okay, well, for lack of a better example, we're going to do this. All right, so now here again, in this bigger typeface, strokes can be kind of fun to play with. So let's say I want to change, I'm going to change the typeface, and we're going to change the color. Maybe we use this blue. And now you see how the stroke, it has the red line through it. That means that there's no stroke. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this, and we're going to put a stroke of a different color on it. Maybe, well, we'll see how this works. Actually, the green is probably going to be like way too much. We have a blue there. I don't know. Maybe we'll... Yeah, this is gonna might be a little much, but okay. So I'm gonna put a stroke on this. Now, when I click off of it, you're gonna see that you can barely see the stroke. So I'm gonna select that again, and I'm gonna bump the stroke up. So I'm gonna click here. Okay. We're gonna go to the stroke window here, and again, if you don't see these are all available up here. So here's stroke, and the stroke window is open right there. So just check those boxes on and off, or check those selections on and off, and you can make a lot of these windows appear or disappear depending on how crowded you want your workspace to be. All right, so here I can just go ahead. I can toggle all the way up and make that stroke really big. Here I can select whether I want the stroke to align with the center, whether I want it to align with the inside. So like if, or if I want to have it on the outside. Now this one is on the outside. I think here, if I did it on the inside, you see that it actually is halfway on the inside and halfway on the outside. So it makes the interior area slightly smaller. That's on the outside, and then this one, I guess, just isn't available. So it's either one or the other. So now I'm going to click away, and now I have this sort of highlighted text. So there's some examples of what you can do with text.